that after Tupac died, the outlaw smoked his ashes. Is that true?
Yeah, it's definitely true. I think it was the night of his had a little memorial for him, with his mom, his family.
The legend who became Smoke. He was hip-hop's prophet, poet, and outlaw, a man who lived every verse he ever rapped. But Tupac Shakur's most shocking story wasn't something he sang on stage. It wasn't the bullets that tore through his body on a Vegas street, or the $1 million cremation that happened before dawn. It's what his closest friends allegedly did after his ashes cooled. Now, nearly 30 years later, Suge Knight, the only man who witnessed Tupac's final moments, has broken his silence from prison, revealing a ritual so bizarre, it blurs the line between tribute and taboo. They say legends never die, but they never said legends become smoke. What you're about to hear isn't just a story. It's the mystery behind Tupac's final hours, his mother's controversial decisions, and a moment so surreal, people have debated its truth for decades. Buckle up, because tonight, we're inhaling the myth and exhaling the truth. And hey, if stories like these keep you hooked, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Viral Vanity, and ring the bell, because this is just the beginning. What if everything you thought you knew about Tupac Shakur's final moments was a carefully kept secret? For nearly 3 decades, the world believed a single story: the hip-hop icon gunned down on a chaotic night in Las Vegas. A tragic, senseless murder that changed music history forever. But Suge Knight, the only man inches away when those bullets tore through Tupac's body, has finally spoken up from behind prison walls, sharing shocking details he's kept buried until now. And suddenly, the story we thought we knew has turned darker, stranger, more controversial. Because Suge says the most disturbing thing about Tupac's death wasn't the bullets, the hospital, or even the $1 million cremation that followed. No, he claims something unthinkable happened after Tupac was reduced to ashes. An act so twisted, so unbelievable that it blurs the line between sacred tribute and shocking disrespect. What if the man the world idolized wasn't buried or scattered to the wind, but inhaled? What if Tupac wasn't just dead, but smoked? Sounds impossible, doesn't it? Ridiculous, even offensive. And yet, Knight insists it's true. He swears by it, says he was there, and this ritual actually took place. But why should anyone believe Suge Knight, a convicted felon, famous for controversy, serving decades in prison? Because hidden within this wild claim are deeper secrets. Secrets about Tupac's own wishes, his mother's final decisions, and details that cast doubt on everything you know about the night Tupac died. Stay with me, because tonight we're unraveling every hidden truth Suge Knight just revealed. And it all starts on that infamous Vegas night, where bullets were only the beginning of a mystery that's still unfolding nearly 30 years later. The secret he took to his grave. On that unforgettable night, September 7th, 1996, after the bullets shattered the calm Vegas evening, Tupac was rushed to University Medical Center, barely alive. Doctors scrambled, working desperately to stabilize him. The legendary rapper lay on a hospital bed, tubes filling his lungs with oxygen, IV fluids trying desperately to sustain his fading life. But as chaos consumed the emergency room, Suge Knight, himself bloodied, panicked, and watching helplessly, claims he heard something that haunted him for decades. Knight says Tupac whispered something almost too shocking to believe. "Let me go. Don't save me." Imagine that. Tupac Shakur, a fearless revolutionary, a powerful voice whose lyrics echoed across the world, begging the doctors to stop fighting for his life. Why would someone who had everything, fame, money, the adoration of millions, choose death? According to Knight, Tupac wasn't afraid to die. He was terrified of what might come after if he survived. At that very moment, rumors swirled about serious criminal charges Tupac might face if he recovered. Accusations tied to gang activity, violence, possibly enough to send him to prison for life. Tupac had been incarcerated before. Knight claims that fear of imprisonment, of losing his freedom again, was unbearable. He didn't want to be caged again, Knight reveals, decades later. He'd rather face death head-on than live behind bars. But here's where the mystery deepens even further. Was this truly Tupac's wish, or was it delirium speaking through unimaginable pain? And even more troubling, would his own mother, Afeni Shakur, actually honor such a heartbreaking request from her dying son? That's exactly where Afeni steps into this already twisted tale, and what she allegedly did next only adds fuel to a fire of unanswered questions. Why did Afeni refuse any further attempts to save her son's life? Knight says her shocking decision would be the first step in a series of unimaginable events, including a cremation so rushed, so secretive, it raises chilling questions that linger even today. Why the hurry? What was Afeni trying to hide, or protect? The truth might be even darker than you imagine, and it leads directly to a bizarre ritual Suge Knight says truly happened. The night Tupac Shakur became smoke. The $1 million cremation. Why the rush? Tupac's heart stopped beating on Friday, September 13, 1996. Within hours, before the sun even rose, the most beloved rapper of his generation had vanished into ashes. No funeral, no public memorial, no goodbyes. And Suge Knight, from behind prison walls, has now revealed something that makes this rush even stranger. According to Knight, the cremation wasn't just fast, it was desperate. He says Afeni Shakur insisted Tupac's body be cremated immediately, without any delay. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. He claims her exact words echoed through the hospital corridors with chilling urgency. Get it done. Now. But why such hurry? Why not allow Tupac's millions of fans a chance to mourn, pay respects, or simply say goodbye? After all, this wasn't just anyone. This was Tupac, an icon whose music inspired an entire generation, whose death shocked millions around the globe. Yet, Afeni refused any delays. Knight alleges she wouldn't even permit the coroner to perform a full autopsy, which is routine in murder cases. She wanted no investigation, no media leaks, no chance of Tupac's body becoming evidence in yet another tangled web of legal drama. And here's the craziest part. Knight says he paid someone $1 million in cash to execute Afeni's wishes that very night. $1 million, handed over quietly, secretly, with zero documentation. No receipts, no paper trail. No one knows who exactly received the money. Was this payment simply to avoid media attention? Or was something darker unfolding behind the scenes? A ritual so bizarre, you'll question everything. Tupac Shakur had become ashes before the world even knew he was gone. No funeral, no farewell, no final chance for millions of fans to say goodbye. But the strangest part of this story wasn't just how fast he vanished. It's what Suge Knight now claims happened after the flames cooled, after the cremation was finished, and Tupac's physical form was reduced to dust. In an interview from behind prison walls, Suge Knight dropped a bombshell so surreal it seems impossible, even disrespectful, to imagine. He claims Tupac's ashes weren't scattered in the ocean, weren't placed gently in an urn, weren't buried beneath a marble headstone. Instead, Knight swears that Tupac's closest circle of friends and associates did something shocking, something almost unthinkable. They mixed his ashes into marijuana, rolled a blunt, lit it, and smoked it. Think about that. Tupac Shakur, rapper, poet, revolutionary, icon, was allegedly inhaled by the very people who loved him most. But why would anyone do something so strange, so shocking? Was it a final act of loyalty? A mystical ritual? A desperate attempt to feel Tupac's presence one last time? Or was it something far darker? Suge Knight insists it happened, even laughing about it years later. But he also quickly says he refused to partake, citing probation as his excuse. Yet, if it was so symbolic, so sacred, why would Knight, a man who stood by Tupac during life, and in his dying moments, distance himself from such an important final gesture? But here's the twist you never saw coming. Tupac himself once mentioned this bizarre idea. In his music, In the 1996 track, Black Jesus, Tupac rapped the line, "Last wishes, niggas smoke my ashes." Was this lyric just artistic bravado? Or had Tupac prophetically predicted exactly how his closest circle would honor his death? Could it be they took this literally, thinking it was exactly what Tupac wanted? Who's lying? The contradictions they tried to hide. Whenever a legend dies young, rumors inevitably fill the void. But in Tupac's case, the contradictions run deeper. Dark secrets tangled within mysteries, half-truths, and outright denials. On one side, you have Suge Knight, the man who sat inches from Tupac as bullets pierced his body, who insists that Tupac begged doctors to let him die, that Afeni ordered doctors to refuse resuscitation, and finally, that Tupac's ashes were smoked by his closest friends. Knight's claims are explosive, disturbing, even shocking enough to be easily dismissed. On the other side, you have the Shakur family, fiercely protective of Tupac's legacy, who have repeatedly denied these bizarre allegations. Afeni Shakur herself, before her own death in 2016, adamantly denied ever consenting to or even knowing about this supposed ashes smoking ritual. She called such claims disrespectful and offensive, insisting nothing like this ever occurred. So, who exactly is lying? Let's start by looking at Suge Knight's credibility. Knight isn't just any source. He's one of the most controversial figures in hip-hop history. Convicted of manslaughter, implicated in multiple acts of violence, and often accused of manipulation and deceit, his word alone might not hold enough weight. Yet, Knight seems oddly specific about details surrounding Tupac's final days, describing intimate moments, conversations, and decisions no outsider would easily know. But there's more. Why did the Outlaws, Tupac's inner circle, briefly admit in 2011 they had smoked Tupac's ashes, only to quickly recant their story after backlash? Were they pressured into silence by the family? Did embarrassment lead them to deny something they initially revealed openly? Why now? The real reason Suge Knight broke his silence. For nearly 30 years, Suge Knight stayed silent about what happened after Tupac's death. No interviews, no confessions, no bizarre claims about smoked ashes, last wishes, or million-dollar cremations. So why now? Why is Suge suddenly revealing details that are as disturbing as they are controversial? Why is he dropping bombshells from a prison cell in 2025 after decades of silence? The timing isn't random, because right now, the biggest twist in the Tupac story is unfolding in real time. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the man long suspected of being connected to Tupac's murder, is finally set to stand trial in 2026. After years of rumors, the law is catching up to someone. But here's where things get murky. Suge Knight isn't just telling wild stories for attention. Some believe he's doing something far more calculated, reframing history piece by piece, just as the truth threatens to finally come out. Think about it. If the Keefe D trial reveals names, motives, and players tied to Tupac's killing, if secrets that were buried in 1996 finally resurface under oath, Suge might have a reason to get ahead of it. His sudden storytelling may not be about honoring Tupac, it could be about protecting himself. Knight claims he paid $1 million for Tupac's cremation, that Afeni ordered everything, every decision, that the Outlaws smoked the ashes, not him, that he stood back while the others carried out this surreal, symbolic act. But in telling this story now, Suge is doing something else. He's shifting focus, from murder to ritual, from suspects to symbolism, from motive to mystery. It's no coincidence that Suge Knight is choosing this exact moment, on the eve of long-awaited justice, to flood the internet with confusion. The deeper question is, what is he hiding? Is this ashes story real? Or is it a cover? A myth so strange, so twisted, that it distracts from the one truth that really matters. Who pulled the trigger that night? Suge Knight has always lived in chaos, in power, in the shadows. And now, from a prison cell, he's rewriting Tupac's ending in a way no one expected. But maybe that's the point. Because while fans cling to the bizarre idea of Tupac being smoked, while the internet debates ritual versus rumor, one man's trial inches closer, and the truth about who killed Tupac might finally be forced into the light. But Suge, he's already told his version. And in his version, he's just a witness, not a suspect, not a villain, just a man left holding ashes and secrets. But is that really the truth? Or just another smokescreen